Hey guys, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that I like to make videos that are not addressed just to the controversy of the moment, but that speak to broader or deeper issues, or speak about issues, be they political or otherwise, in a way that will still be meaningful if I come back and watch the video 5 years from now. If somebody happens to discover this video 10 years from now, and they don't know the controversy of the moment that inspired me to sit down in front of this camera. And the video I'm recording right now is an exception to that rule. And for that reason, I'm not going to leave it up forever. It's going to be posted temporarily, and then it's going to be taken down. Because I am addressing someone of absolutely zero intellectual integrity. I'm addressing someone who isn't going to matter 5 years from now or 10 years from now. I'm addressing the couple known as Happy Healthy Vegan, HHV. You know, vegans don't eat meat, they don't drink milk, they refuse to eat honey. But we behave like a bunch of cannibals out here, huh? We're all trying to eat our own. We're all trying to devour one another. Everyone's seen it, and all kinds of people come up with different theories, different little psychological sketches for why it is that vegans treat one another with such cruelty, why it is that we seem to eat our own. The answer for people like Happy Healthy Vegan is very clear. Money. Happy Healthy Vegan, you're a fake vegan, and your response to my recent video absolutely shows why that is, how it is, and who you really are. You completely Sorry, it's after midnight here. You'll have to excuse me for both wearing my pajamas on camera and for speaking in a slightly disjointed fashion. You completely misrepresented what my video is about. Its thesis, its point, its content, what I'm saying, and why I'm saying it. And did you do that simply out of incompetence, simply out of stupidity? Partly, perhaps. Did you do it partly out of malice, partly trying to generate drama, trying to attract viewers to you? Perhaps. But if you were a real vegan, there are so many things in that video that you would have responded to. I don't say should have responded to. That you would have responded to and would have taken an interest in. But instead, the only subject that interested you, the only thing you cared about and responded to, was the passing mention of how two women in the video are not especially attractive, not compared to other young women who might in Hollywood go to an audition trying to get the same parts, who might be competing for the same position in the entertainment world. Now, any real vegan watching that same video would have noticed many other things, might have taken an interest in, for example, what I said about Gary Yourofsky. I don't know how it would be possible for a real vegan, for someone with a serious interest in not just vegan politics, but the digital demimonde of what we call vegan activism within YouTube. I don't know how you sat through that video and just failed to take the slightest interest imaginable in what I had to say about Gary Yourofsky, and the fact that I cited the other videos you can see in which I further explain what I think about Gary Yourofsky, why I think that, why it's an important message in veganism today. You passed that by without the slightest interest, without the slightest comment. You only wanted to talk about a matter of physical beauty. And yet, of course, your main point is to reproach me because that 20-minute video even mentions a matter of physical beauty. But you had no interest in that. How about what I said about Gary Francione? How about what I said about any of the other major intellectuals, authors, and leaders in that video? Could it be that you've never read a single book by any of those people? Or could it be that you simply have zero intellectual integrity, zero engagement with the reality of what veganism is as a movement today, and your only engagement is with what we would call, in today's parlance, being a fame whore? The only thing in that video you thought you could latch onto to generate a phony controversy and get some views is the mention of Nina and Randa. And you don't even have interest in a figure as mainstream, as vocal, and as important within YouTube as Gary Yourofsky. That wouldn't really take much intellectual integrity, or much intellectual. And why do I even use the word integrity? You indulge in a form of slander that's all too common here on YouTube today. You play the game saying, well, I haven't really watched any of this guy's videos, but... And then you characterize me. On this channel, I have uploaded over 400 videos. Okay, if you took even an interest in the one issue of Gary Yourofsky, if you watched that video and thought, wait, this guy is really saying he has something important to say about Gary Yourofsky, and I am contrasting that to Nina and Miranda. I'm contrasting that to the amount of attention that garbage channels like yours pay to people like Durian Rider and Nina and Miranda and Vegan Cheetah. The actual conclusion of the video is that you should instead be focusing your critique on more durable and important figures like Gary Francione, etc., like the long list of authors, intellectuals, and university professors in my name. But if you had taken interest in any one of those things, if you had, and let's be honest here, maybe you might have felt offended by my very rapid dismissal of the book, the Save the Planet Diet, any one of the examples. You might have taken an interest, watched the video I made on earlier, you might have taken interest in that book, or in that philosophy, or in that political position. You might have considered why it was I was engaging with these things. Instead of abstracting from that argument the one issue that you thought you could make money on, that you thought you could draw attention to yourself with, and that you thought you could use to defame and belittle me. Where's that going to put you in the future? All right? Again, I'm not saying you should care about what I have to say about Gary Francione. I'm not saying that you should care about what I have to say about Will Tuttle. Will Tuttle's Save the Planet Diet. I'm not saying you should have read that book, or that you should have taken 5 minutes to hear what I have to say about that book. I'm saying that if you were a real vegan, you would have taken an interest in any of those issues, in at least one of those issues raised in my video. And instead of coming on camera and lying that you just don't know much about my channel, you haven't really seen many of my videos, so you can't form an opinion, but here's your opinion defaming me. Instead, you would have had the intellectual integrity to form an opinion of what kind of man I am, of what my political position is, on even just one example. What is my political position on Will Tuttle? Why do I feel that way about Will Tuttle? What is my position on Gary Yourofsky? Why do I disagree with him? Why did I make such a strong statement about Gary Yourofsky? It wouldn't take much intellectual integrity or curiosity or responsibility for any real vegan to show this much interest in that, to hear what I have to say about it, and then by all means disagree with me. By all means, you can make a video defending Gary Yourofsky against my critique of him. That would be welcome. You did none of that. You played the game of pretending that you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea what the video as a whole is about, although you very intentionally edited it to omit exactly what the video is about. And what is your point? Your point is to try to depict me as a creep who has some kind of unhealthy interest in members of the opposite sex, and as someone who has trouble talking to members that say, I have uploaded more than 400 videos. Some of them are now set to private for reasons that you may or may not be able to imagine. So I think it'll be just under 400 that are listed publicly now. Why don't you take some time to scroll through to look at the examples of conversations I've had with females on this channel? I have one long conversation with an 18-year-old university student about how she can organize political activism on her university campus. Why don't you check out that video, Healthy Vegan? I think there's more real content about vegan politics in that one video than on your whole channel. I have a conversation over an hour long with a former YouTuber called Zarya, who quit YouTube because of people like you and the sad circus you've made out of this medium. The way you've taken everything good and noble and important about veganism and dragged it through the mud for a few dollars so you can play your fame whoring game. In that one video with Zarya, there's more real talk about the philosophy and politics of veganism than on your whole channel. And some of it is rational, as you so kindly describe me. And you know what? Some of it, Happy Healthy Vegan, is emotional. In that video with Zaria, over an hour long, both she and I break down weeping on camera. Talking about veganism, talking about protests, talking about seeing animals getting slaughtered, talking about going to slaughterhouses, being on farms, real life experience. In that one video I did with Zaria, yes, a woman, yes, a female, who enjoyed talking to me for more than an hour. I've talked to her many times since then. We still know each other, though she doesn't have a YouTube channel anymore. There is more content in that one video than on your whole channel. The list of names of females I've talked to on Skype, through podcasts that I've put on YouTube, whose channels I've featured and promoted positively, who I've engaged with. Just recently I did a several hours long podcast with Mod Vegan. I don't know, why didn't you promote her on your channel, seeing as you have so much great substance with women, with original thinkers? Conversation I have with Mod Vegan is actually intellectual, actually deals with politics, real content, really about veganism, really me and a woman I respect sitting down and talking about how we can change the world, how we can address problems within veganism, how we can promote veganism as a cause, etc. And believe me, offline, that conversation hasn't ended. Because unlike you, we're not fame whores. We're actually trying to get organized, to have real foundations, real charities, engage in real activist work, to make a real difference in our little country that we have passports from called Canada. Okay? You can check that out. You know what? You have to subscribe to Patreon to hear the whole thing, but there are several videos with substantive excerpts from my long conversation with Mod Vegan. Okay? The list goes on and on. For you to claim that I only treat women as sex objects on my channel? Compared to what, homeboy? Because when you watch that video, that 20-minute video that probably addresses 20 different people, Gary Francione, Gary Orofsky, Will Tuttle, etc., the only part you extracted was the part that you could use to objectify and make money out of talking about a woman's body and whether she's hot or not. And you intentionally misrepresented the whole video. You ignored the content. You ignored even why it was mentioned, why I was talking about it. Because what you do to make money is objectifying women's bodies. What you do shows no respect for and no interest in women's intelligence. And what I do in video after video where I'm actually talking to women demonstrates a real interest in their intelligence, a real interest in the positive difference they can make to the vegan movement. You know what? You guys have a lot of stuff about diet and weight loss. You've been through the whole Freely and Durian Rider ringer. You know what? Even if you watch the video I did interviewing a young woman, I think she was about 21, 22 at the time, about her experience with being a true believer with Freely and Durian Rider and then losing their faith and getting out of it. Even that video, that one's not really political because I have diversity here. That was talking about her experience with the diet and how she decided to leave her life behind in Europe and move to Thailand to be close to Freely and Durian Rider. That video, it's not my greatest video. It's not, you know what? It has more real content than everything on your channel combined. Because you, Happy Healthy Vegan, you are nothing but a fame whore. You are a person with zero intellectual integrity, with zero meaningful engagement to this movement. And in the next 5-10 years, it doesn't matter. Let's say you have your dream. Let's say you one day ascend to the lofty heights of being as popular as your great rival, Unnatural Vegan. Unnatural Vegan, whom, as I recall, you couldn't even win a debate with her about Splenda, about artificial sweetener in your coffee. That was the fight you picked. Okay, well, I out here on my channel, I'm talking about vivisection, about animals being used for cancer research, about the politics of pet ownership, domestication of animals, about vegans who make excuses for whether or not it's okay to kill a cow to feed it to your pet cat. I've been dealing with real issues within veganism. And yes, in my way, despite the terrible disadvantages I have in life, despite the hand that life has dealt me in many ways, I have been trying to engage in real and meaningful activism, both in terms of organizing for the future and what I can do here and now. If you just looked at the list of recent uploads to this channel, you would see that I wrote a storybook in Chinese. I translated it from Chinese into English. Other people volunteered to translate it from English into Russian and German. And I'm going to raise money, and I'm talking to illustrators, and I'm publishing a children's storybook that introduces the concept of veganism to children. All right, no slaughterhouse footage. It's a slightly poetic, philosophical children's story. It's got a lot of people excited. It may be a small contribution, but that's something positive I can do. What can you do, you sack of shit? What have you ever done? You don't think you're a leech on this movement, but you are. It's people like you who are just trying to make a buck, trying to make short-term fame for themselves, micro-fame, trying to get a name out of a movement that you have nothing positive to contribute to. And that storybook, even if it's the only thing I ever have done or the only thing I ever will do that's positive for this movement, that is an example of something positive. And you could have, before slandering me on your channel, taken the time to take a glance at that and consider your evaluation of who I am and my character in that context, instead of the bullshit context you created out of thin air because you thought it would get you more hits. And I've never done that to you, and I've never done that to any other YouTuber. I've never said anything that defamed Nina and Randa, nor Jeff. And on some level, you know that.